Good morning, everybody. Made it to the end of another week, made it to Friday, and there's been a lot going on lately. A lot of action, a lot of interesting activity from this team. The players that we've re-signed, the players that we've let go. There's a lot going on, and there's some stuff going on that we don't even fully know about yet. The other day, Pete alluded to an associate head coach hire that he can't officially announce yet because it's not official, but it seems like it's basically a done deal. So there's a lot going on right now. So let's definitely take some time to talk about this in the middle of all the stuff that is actually happening. Because, yeah, the stuff that is actually happening is a little more concrete, but that doesn't mean you completely ignore the stuff that is being discussed. And there is some stuff being discussed. So let's briefly take a look at this particular bit of news that I know a lot of Seahawks fans are going to be interested in. According to, well, this is many sources. You've got Wyman and Bob on the radio. You've got, obviously, the tweeter here, Brandon Gustafson. I've seen it from several other sources as well. John Schneider and Pete Carroll have talked to Bobby Wagner about a potential return to Seattle. So they are aware of the possibility, and they are entertaining the possibility. This tweet thread has some quotes. We've been able to talk to Bobby now and address some of the things concerning him representing himself. We're going to be in communication. We know where we are, and we know where he is. We have a lot of respect for him, etc., etc., etc. Nothing illuminating in terms of whether or not this is likely to get done, but there is clearly an awareness on the part of the organization that this reunion might make some sense. Now, Schneider also went on to say that it is flattering that former players such as Wagner want to come back, but then he went on to say they have to look at the whole landscape of the league and free agency and not simply sign Wagner because of his history, which, hey, that's absolutely the right thing to say. That's absolutely the right way to look at it. I got no problem with him saying that. In fact, hey, I hope that's the mentality that he brings with him when he's trying to figure all this stuff out next week. So, yeah, the possibility is being discussed. This is not a DOA pipe dream, and there's reason to believe that it could happen. But it's not going to happen just because we want it to happen and it's going to help sell tickets and it's going to help get people to watch the games on TV and it's going to help sell jerseys. No, it's going to happen because it makes sense. Or it's not going to happen because ultimately, at the end of the day, it doesn't make sense. So now that we know the team is thinking about it, and I think we always kind of knew that the team was going to at least be thinking about it, let's talk a little bit more about what we can what we can say about a potential Bobby Wagner reunion. So here are some things that I want to say about this. Let's start with some of the positives about the possibility of bringing back Bobby Wagner, why it makes sense. We don't know what's going on with Jordan Brooks right now, but right now it seems like a reasonable assumption, at the very least, that he is going to miss the start of the season. Cody Barton is a free agent. Ben Burkervin looks like his career is over. So you are down to basically nothing at middle inside linebacker right now. Middle linebacker, inside linebacker, however you want to put it. You've got nothing. And in this defense, which Pete has already doubled down on, by the way, you need two. We currently don't have any. Odds are good that we're going to bring back Tanner Muse and John Radigan, and those guys would probably be our linebackers. But that's definitely not an enviable place to be. And technically, as of right now, those guys are set to become free agents in the near future. So there's absolutely no guarantee that they come back just because I think it makes sense. So we need two. That's the thing to remember here. And how are you going to get two starting caliber linebackers in one offseason? Well, logically, you get one in the draft. This is a pretty bad draft for linebackers. We've known that for a while now. There are guys that I like, for sure. There are guys that make sense. But if you're going to be starting two rookies at inside linebacker, that's probably a bad idea, especially because one of them is likely going to be wearing the green dot. The green dot, where you're doing play calling, I don't know if you want to give a rookie that. You could give it to another player, but a lot of the time, the green dot is given to a player who is playing inside linebacker for you. Not all the time, but a good chunk of the time. Um, and it's not like it would necessarily make sense to just give it to somebody like Quandre Diggs, because, of course, last year, Jordan Brooks had the green dot, and it was kind of a poorly kept secret that he was struggling with that part of his job. So you can probably get one rookie in stardom: Trenton Simpson, Henley, the Wisconsin guy, Jack. I'm having a can't remember his name off the top of my head, but Owen Papoe. You could probably find one starter in the draft, but quite simply, if you're going to really go for it in 2023, you're going. Oh, Jack Campbell. God, don't know why it took me so long to remember that name. You're probably going to need a veteran signing. I looked at free agency at the inside linebacker position a while ago. You've got three guys who are at the top. You've got Tremaine Edmonds. You've got Jermaine Pratt, the Bengals linebacker. And you've got, I think there was one more guy who I think is going to get big money, like a $10 million a year to $12 million a year contract. Significant money, like tier one money for middle linebackers. Bobby Wagner is probably a tier two middle linebacker. He's not going to cost more than $10 million a year, I don't think. But I don't think he's going to cost $5 million either. I think you're looking somewhere in the middle, $7 to $8 million a year. I don't know for how long. I don't know what the contract would look like, but I mean, really, last year when he signed with the Rams, he agreed to a deal that was pretty friendly. Very low guarantees, very low commitment. The Rams had opportunities almost every offseason after that contract signing to go, okay, we're going to let you go. And it wouldn't kill them. Like, the fact that they were able to release him after 1 year kind of tells you that. So Bobby's made a lot of money in the NFL. Maybe he's coming at this from a different perspective of, I don't need every dollar that I can get. And it doesn't seem like there's any ill will about the fact that we released him in the first place. So it sounds like it could definitely happen. And we certainly know he can handle play calling. We certainly know he's got a great mind for the game. We certainly know that he's going to be able to bring a lot of stuff to the table. Look, it's a great opportunity for Rookie X, right? You bring in Trenton Simpson. You bring in Dyvon Henley. You bring in Jack Campbell, Owen Papoe, whoever it is. You're learning from one of the all-time greats at the position. You're learning from one of the all-time great middle linebackers in the league. So that's got to be worth some money. And then he's going to be worth some money on the field. Now, I'm going to continue to say this until such a time as Bobby Wagner signs with the Seahawks or signs with somebody else. The Rams used him in a very specific way that we never used him like. They blitzed him more than he had previously, generally speaking. They played to his strengths as a player in a way that we typically did not. And one thing I want to really show to illustrate this before we really go into this too deep, go look at how often he was targeted in coverage in 2022. 48 times. That tells me they were being very, very intelligent about the way they utilized him. Look how much he was targeted in the previous seasons that he played with the Seahawks. He was targeted almost twice as much in 2021 compared to 2022. So you better be ready to put Bobby in the right situations. He can't cover anymore. He's not a very good cover linebacker anymore. The Rams realized that. The Rams realized, hey, he's one of the all-time great blitzers, potentially, if you look at his skill set. Let's make his game about that. Let's not make his game about the things that aren't so good. Let's not make his game about the things that don't matter as much. Let's not just turn him into a tackle farmer, which is occasionally what he was in Seattle. Let's not turn him into a guy who's going to get lost in coverage all the time because he doesn't have that skill set anymore. Let's find a way to utilize what he can do to the maximum. So, look, the Rams run a 3-4 defense, so it's not like Bobby doesn't know how to play in a 3-4. Arguably, we were running a lot of 3-4 type stuff his last couple years in Seattle, so he was doing it then too. So that's fine, but you're going to have to use him the right way. Don't have him drop back into coverage all the time. He shouldn't be targeted over and over and over again in games. He shouldn't be targeted 5, 6, 7 times in a game. Last year for the Rams, he was being targeted like 3 times a game. I think not even 3 times a game, actually. And you're going to have to supplement this defensive line expeditiously. If you put Bobby Wagner behind Quentin Jefferson and Brian Monet and L.J. Collier and that kind of defensive line, it's going to go really badly. Nobody's going to want to see that. That's going to be... It's not going to be good for anybody. Bobby's not going to like it. The defense isn't going to like it. We're not going to like it. The team's not going to like it. So understand that you're not bringing in Bobby Wagner to fix the problem. You're bringing in Bobby Wagner to be part of the solution after you fix the actual problem. Because as much as I don't like some of the linebackers we had last year, guys like Brooks, guys like Barton, they would have looked better if we had a real defensive line. They would have. Now, I think Bobby can do some things beyond what those guys can do, even at his advanced age. By the way, he's about to turn 33, so before you start thinking about locking up a lot of long-term guaranteed money with him, do keep in mind that as good as he did play last year, the cliff is coming. Like, just because he played well at the age of 32 doesn't mean he's going to be able to play well for the next 10 years. So let's be careful about what we commit to here, of course. But if you do things the right way, and look, the offseason's off to the right kind of start to bring back Bobby, I think. When you look at the moves we made so far, bringing back Geno Smith, releasing a guy like a Gabe Jackson to save money, the pieces are starting to fall into place for a sensible Bobby Wagner reunion. But you got to go the rest of the way. You got to bring in a great defensive line to put around Bobby. You got to bring in the right crew. You got to have the right coaches, have the right mindset on how to use him to the best of his abilities. And only through that way will this become a worthwhile endeavor. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks.